What's up, everybody? This is Late Great Game Reviews. I'm Apollo, and this week we are reviewing AC Brotherhood. That's Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. It is the what? Well, I don't know. It comes after. It's the third game in the main series. It comes after Assassin's Creed 2. It's the second game in the Ezio trilogy, quote unquote. You can't see my hands, but I'm doing quotes. Um, yeah, it starts off right where Assassin's Creed 2 ended, with both Desmond and Ezio. Came out in 2010. It's developed by Ubisoft Montreal, and I'm not a big fan of it. I'm probably one of the few people on the face of this earth that has played Assassin's Creed that doesn't like the Ezio games. I mean, I haven't played Revelations yet. I will be reviewing that soon. But I didn't like Assassin's Creed 2, and I didn't like most of Brotherhood. There were some aspects that I liked, but the traversal system feels really clunky. It feels okay, but I mean, compared to something, and keep in mind, I should have started with this, but before I played Brotherhood, I played all the numbered entries of the series. I played 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I know coming back from 4, it's I'm kind of backtracking with the technology, with the graphics. Obviously there's some sort of hindsight's 2020 stuff going on with this. Didn't shaking the camera a bit too much, but yeah. So keeping that in mind, I'm trying to review this as objectively as possible, as if I haven't played it, AC3 and 4, but I have, and it's just gonna bleed through. But yeah, so back to the traversal system. It feels clunky compared to something as just luxuriously smooth as like Uncharted or even Infamous. Those series. And it's so often that you're gliding along across the rooftops or something, and you jump and you just miss completely, and you can't. Yes, you can press circle to grab onto stuff, but even sometimes I don't know. It just feels like every time it's going along great and it's going along smooth, you get interrupted, and it's just really annoying. But and it's pretty slow too. But of course, that's helped by some gadgets that you actually get because Leonardo da Vinci appears. Yes, again from AC2. He's probably my favorite part of AC2. He's probably my favorite part of Brotherhood too. Da Vinci not only is one of my favorite historical figures, but he's awesome in this game as well, as he was in 2. He gives you gadgets like the double blade. I think he gives you the poison blade, and he gives you the parachute as well. Parachute's cool. That helps with the if you're gliding along and you along the rooftops and you fall, and because then you can just press square and glide on down without any damage. It's beautiful. Also, the Da Vinci missions. You actually get 4 different missions, which are, I think, the best missions in the game. They're the most diverse set of missions in the game. You're in all these different environments that you never see in the game, really. You're on the open sea sometimes. You're going through, the sewers sometimes. The flying machine is back in one way or another. I'm not gonna really spoil it for those who haven't played, but there's 4 missions, and you're basically just destroying Da Vinci's. The Templars have taken Da Vinci's his designs, and they basically modified them as weapons, and Da Vinci wants you to destroy them. In return, he gives you like new designs and or new gadgets and such. So yeah, definitely the best missions of the game. Glad that he's back. Very awesome. I may be looking down my notes a lot because there's a lot to say about this game. Most of it's not that great. There's definitely some glitches. I fell through the world a couple times. Had to restart it. And then there's this, the missions themselves are pretty repetitive. I'll get to that in a moment, but there's missions where you have to like escort or kind of, yeah, basically lead like a squad of armored men who are, you're disguised, and you have to lead them. And there are times when the AI just bunches up together into a corner, and you can't proceed with the mission because there's like 10, 15 of them just like completely bunched up in a corner. You can't move. You have to go. You basically have to insert yourself into the crowd and just like spin around constantly to just get them untangled. It's a pain in the ass. But the story of the game, it's not bad. It's basically it all takes place in Rome. You're playing as Ezio is forming a brotherhood to combat a brotherhood of assassins made up of thieves and soldiers, mercenaries. Um, and yeah, you're in Rome, and you're basically trying to destroy the Borgia influence there. And namely, the chief villain is Cesare Borgia. And there's some incestuous things going on there, Game of Thrones style. But it's the story's not bad. What I think my favorite, besides Da Vinci and a couple other things, I think my single favorite aspect of the game is that the Brotherhood itself. I mean, it really is the title. It says it all. Not only can you recruit ordinary citizens to become assassins, you can recruit them as assassins, and actually send them out on missions as you're just going through the world and going through the story or exploring or doing whatever you're doing, and it'll net it'll net them experience and stuff, and you'll get paid for it as well, and it's really cool. And you can call them into battle anytime you need assistance. Hit L2. You got a league of assassins there just to come in and assist you. It's pretty freaking awesome. And they're upgradable too. You upgrade their armor, you can upgrade their weapons, and they upgrade in title too. So, eventually if you upgrade them all the way, they become, full-blown assassins, part of the guild. It's pretty sweet. That, coupled with the fact that Ezio with his comrades Machiavelli, La Volpe, his sister, and a few others, they actually have this, this organization that they have, coupled and complemented by the assassins that you are not only recruiting yourself and forging into just formidable, killers and sending out on contracts. All of this together really makes it feel like you're actually building this living, breathing organization, and I loved that. That was terrific. Yeah, that was very, very cool. Looking down at the notes here, because again, there's a lot of stuff to say. Yeah, voice works great. Music, freaking epic. Best music. Really, really good. The architecture looks terrific. The missions, like I mentioned before, are really repetitive. They're really repetitive. I mean, they're tailing missions, or they're, like I was discussing before, getting a bunch of, taking out a bunch of people so you can steal their clothes or armor, and then basically leading a bunch of men and basically Trojan horsing it against your enemies. There's different missions in that too, but I mean, it's almost like the same 5 missions, just like changed up slightly and just cycled through the entire game. It gets honestly pretty boring. And again, I know I'm in the very, very small minority that thinks this about this game, but hell, that's how I feel. I'm really not crazy about Ezio as a person. Like, I mean, first of all, the guy has no personality. He's just he's suave and charming, and we don't really get to see that except for like the few girls that you see in the game that he talks to, and they kind of sort of fall in love, kind of sort of. But yeah, I mean, he's not a likable protagonist at all, and yeah. Character models are the level design and the architecture of Rome. Oh man, that's really beautiful. Even it came out back in 2010. Still looks gorgeous. I mean, every building in Rome, and the lakes and the castles and the dungeons, and I mean, just all of it. The open fields. I mean, everything looks still really good. Really, really good. The character models, for the most part, are shit. I mean, Assassin's Creed has never been one. I mean, Assassin's Creed 4 did it real well, but and even Assassin's Creed 3 to an extent. And let me just make a small segue here, just for a second, about the traversal system. I really feel, I mean, and again, I haven't played Revelations yet, and I haven't played Liberation yet on the Vita, but I mean, I don't think that the Assassin's Creed franchise really found its footing, no pun intended, with the traversal system until 3. I mean, I did like 3, again, on the very, very minority of people who liked the game. They had pacing issues and stuff, but we're not talking about that. Except for the traversal system. They really did well and really, sunk their teeth in the traversal system. Ubisoft really sunk their teeth into the traversal system and did real well. It felt just really fluid on the branches to the buildings. Everything felt really good. There were, clunks here and there, but really good. And with this, not. But reeling it back from that, the traversal system bothers me. But reeling it back from that, crap, what was I saying? Yeah, the character models. I mean, Ezio looks, his armor and his assassin's garbs, or whatever you want to call them, they look cool, especially because you can dye him and do different stuff with them. So look, he looks cool. Most of the Brotherhood looks pretty good, but Assassin's Creed 3, or the Assassin's Creed franchise, has never been great about detailing their background characters. And most games, the background characters aren't very detailed. But with Assassin's Creed, it's a whole nother level of just mediocrity in terms of the character models of the background characters. I mean, it's just like their face is just painted on. There's very few protruding features. They don't look like humans. It looks very strange. But yeah, I mean, basically everyone with armor in the game and pretty much everyone in the Brotherhood looks awesome. Other than that, not so much. I apologize again for looking down my notes, but I just have a lot of stuff to rant about. There are, there's lots of collectibles in the game. There's there's treasures all over the place. Not just treasure chests that you can loot, but there's also the Lair of Romulus keys that you pick up. Basically, the Romulus worshippers are basically assassins who are safeguarding these keys in these dungeons that you go around and find, and you find the shrines of Romulus, and you collect all this stuff, and you can get a cool treasure if you collect all the keys. There's also feathers from the second one, which I really hated in the second one. Pain in the ass. Got all but 5. And there's Borgia flags and stuff like that. Also, there's in all the different territories of Rome, you can see the Borgia influence on your map, and if you go into these restricted areas, of course, and take out the Borgia captains and then climb up each of the towers and ignite them, you get a lot of cool benefits from that. Not only do you just knock out the Borgia influence in those territories, but you also you'll get a lot of cool stuff. You can easily see and easily recruit a lot more of the assassins in that area, just super easily. Whereas before it was just they're really hard to find. Not to mention you're in a restricted area, so you can't move. You have to move extraordinarily stealthily. You can also all the tunnel entrances. And tunnel entrances in this game are basically the fast travel system. You find them all around the world. You renovate them for a small. It's not a small fee. It's a small fee, and you can just fast travel to the ones that you found. So you get those renovated automatically without paying for them. Yeah, there's a lot of benefits to doing that, and it's for the most part it's pretty fun. Let's see. I really don't. I'm not trying to. There's no filler in this review. There's so much to say about this. Bear with me for 1 second. You got. It's kind of a common problem with Assassin's Creed, although it's lessened over the years, is the shitty camera angles. You'll be fighting, and suddenly a tree will just block half the screen. You'll be climbing, and a building or something, some sort of obstruction will block your view and you'll be attacked, and it's not really new with the franchise either. There's another glitch also that I forgot to mention that happened a few times where anyone who's played Assassin's Creed knows that there's this stupid thing that happens where if you run to an area that's not available during your current memory, then if you run there too long, or if you stay there too long, you'll be desynchronized, and you'll fail the mission. A lot of times or there are a few times, and it didn't happen that often, but it did happen more than once, definitely, where I'd be fighting enemies, a group of enemies, and one or two of the enemies, usually the last ones, would stay behind that field of, restrictions. So if I went over to fight them, I'd be desynchronized. But they wouldn't come back into the area so I could fight them. It was really, really annoying, and usually I either had to just restart the mission, or from the checkpoint, or I would just have to kind of try to bait them out, which is really hard to do with AI that's glitching like that. So yeah, that was a pain in the ass, honestly. Few other things. Actually, you know what? I think I've said most of it. Yeah, there's some collectibles. I already said the flags. There's also the broken aqueduct all over Rome that you find in different pieces, or you don't find the pieces, but you find where it's broken. You talk to the architect, and he renovates the aqueduct, and you can complete it. And yeah, also note on renovating. Yeah, that's a big thing with. You renovate stuff. If you renovate buildings for the assassins, or renovate buildings, or renovate banks, or the tailors' shops, or the art merchants, any of those things, the more you renovate, the more money you get. Hell, you even get money for renovating tunnel entrances. And like Assassin's Creed 2, there's an economy. So you'll constantly, if the more stuff you renovate, you'll constantly see on your screen, you get this, 2,380 whatever of, of dollars, or whatever the currency is called. You'll get that amount every 20 minutes, and it'll be just just passive revenue that you're just generating. You can just go to any bank and just collect it, and it really makes it really easy to get money in the game, which is nice. It's nice, and it's a cool way to build up your stash of money to get new armors and such. Yeah, and definitely, there's. And yeah, I think that's pretty much. I had to reiterate once again how just 90% of the missions in the game, I feel, are just complete shit. They're just really poorly conceived. They really are. It's just really, again, the 5 same missions repeated. It's just in a slightly different manner or a slightly different order, and it really got frustrating sometimes and boring. And yeah, but on to the multiplayer. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood was the first Assassin's Creed game to feature multiplayer, and there's 5 different modes, I believe. There's Wanted, there's Manhunt, there's Advanced Manhunt, there's Alliance, and there's Assassinate. And basically, they're a mixture of co-op matches where you'll have some. Alliance is 2 teams or 4 teams of 2, and you're fighting the other teams. Yeah, so and Manhunt is basically it's basically like team deathmatch, 2 teams of 4 against each other. And it switches between one team being the hunted, the other team being the prey, or the other team being the hunters, and it switches. Advanced Manhunt is basically it's the same thing, except you have to really use stealth a lot more because there's more AI, a lot more AI. The crowds are bigger, so it's easier to blend in, and to be ambushed, which happened more than once to me. And your compass is very inaccurate. in contrast to what it is in normal Manhunt. The multi. Again, this is This is just in hindsight, seeing as this was like more than 3 years ago that they released this game, and since then you had Assassin's Creed 4 and all that goodness. But the multiplayer still, like, I gotta commend Ubisoft for the multiplayer, because it's very. I commend them for their innovation in the multiplayer. They could have easily, for whatever reason, just done a straight up Call of Duty, but in Assassin's Creed time, in the Renaissance time, and just have people shooting at each other, or just knifing each other. But it's a rush, playing the multiplayer, because you really have to. You have to find that sweet spot, that fine balance between being covert and being overt, whether you're the prey or you're the hunter, and it's fun, and it's definitely something different that a lot of companies don't do. And it takes some of it takes skill, but a lot of it just takes a lot of practice, and you're getting perks and stuff, but it really is just you and your team, depending on what mode you're playing, just basically just trying to master the art of stealth, and I enjoy the multiplayer a lot. And the AI, I think that's the last thing I want to mention. The AI in the multiplayer is very, even more so than I think even in the game, it's very human. Like, the AI moves in very human ways. Like, it doesn't, if there's a crowd of people will bump into each other, and then they'll run it back a bit, or they'll turn around to see if they're being followed. And obviously, if you play the multiplayer of Assassin's Creed, you know that if you assassinate the wrong person, if you assassinate a civilian, then your target will be lost, and if your target's nearby and they see this, they can stun you, and so that would be bad. So the AI in the multiplayer is very, very well done. So that is the review for Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. I'm gonna give it 6.5 out of 10. I'll be reviewing Revelation soon. Hopefully it's better, just for my sake, because playing through Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, it was torturous and frustrating and very I'm not a big fan of it. But yes, I'll be reviewing Revelation soon. That was Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. This is Late Great Game Reviews. I'm Apollo. I will see you guys and girls next week.